Hi guys, Joe here. So I said that I was going to do a video on Camtasia 2020. It came out on April 28th, and I took a look at it, and there's a lot of great ways to do some brand coordination across multiple users. So I knew a couple people were asking about those features, and some people just wanted to kind of see where Camtasia has come. So I figured I would show that off. There is a video or a webinar that TechSmith did that shows off these features as well. Definitely worth looking at. I think they made it publicly available. But if not, this is probably going to add on to it with some ideas that might actually help specific teams. Their version was very, very salesy, which is fine. That's the point. They want you to buy it. Yeah, I figured I'd kind of come in with some extra things. So first things first, I'm a big fan of Camtasia, but to be fair, I work in application and SaaS technology, which means we deal with product releases. That means that every couple weeks or every couple months, new things are coming out, and there are multiple teams that want to get their grubby little hands on the content and train it in their own specific way. So you've got sales, you've got product development, product marketing, and of course, training. Hi, remember us? We're the thing that helps all of those that nobody really understands what we do. So they do it on their own. So I like Camtasia for that because it's a great way to get a bunch of people creating content. You can do it very polished, very professionally, and give it a lot of pizzazz with not a very big learning curve. Now, when it comes to Camtasia as a video editor, the same way you might think of like After Effects or Premiere as an editor, Camtasia sucks. Their capabilities, there's not a lot of them. But as a composer for things like training content where I have video, I have audio, I have annotations, I have interactions I want to do, composing training video, that's really where Camtasia's sweet spot is. And I'm a big fan of its ability to do that. The challenge, of course, when you have a whole bunch of different people trying to create content is how do you get it to all look the same? And usually you have brands, you have brand standards, brand guidelines, style guides, things like that. But for video, that's a big challenge, especially if you have a lot of people just getting their feet wet into it. Having them try to say you're going to use this and this annotation and this color, that's not really a thing. So they create their own, and then you've got a bunch of content that doesn't really look like it belongs together. So Camtasia 2020 tried some of this in 2018. I don't think they quite realized what they had created when they created themes, which is basically a color palette that you can have kind of preset. So if you wanted to have 5 specific colors or 2 specific fonts that you always used, you create a theme. The thing is they didn't think about sharing it. They didn't think for some reason that would be valuable. To be able to export and send off into the masses. And there was a bunch of feedback on their support portals that said, hey, how do I share this? And you could share themes. It's wonky, but you can do it. But in 2020, they ramped all of that up. So not only can you share themes, you can share libraries, which you've kind of always been able to do, but you can actually create favorites of annotations and tools that you like. You can create behavior presets, tool presets, and compile all of that and send that off to people. You can even create templates of entire videos. So you can say, if you're going to create a video, I've created the intro, I've created the outro, and I've made placeholders for you to just drop in your content, and you hit the render button and you go. They've done a fantastic job. So that's what I wanted to do with this video, is I wanted to show those things off and to give you a couple of use cases on how I might use them in my organization, where I do have product marketing and devs and product owners and sales and executive leadership and training all wanting to do the same thing in different ways. Thanks, guys. You're really making this easy. Anyway, here we go. So in Camtasia 2018, they introduced themes, like I mentioned before, and it's basically a color palette. So you can see this is my Camtasia 2018, and what I can do is if I had an annotation that I had, but I don't like this color picker. It's just kind of a pain in the butt, and I needed specific colors, and I was going to use them over and over again. So like for company branding, as an example, what I could do instead was I had this little drop down that let me make themes: health, communications, government, in this case. So I've got health, and I've got these 5 swatches, and those represent my, that's my theme. Or I can switch it to communications. In this case, I had 4, and that's my theme. So I can simply just pick, and I've got a new color. Same thing with fonts. If I go into fonts, I can select the font, and yes, I've got my long list of fonts that I have, but I also have my themes up at the top. So if I had my health, I can select 2 themes, and those are what we always, I could just pick them from a drop down. Boom. Which I don't think changed anything. There we go. All right, awesome. So now I have my theme, but it was selected as a drop down as opposed to simply just you having to go through a very long list and pray, cross my fingers that I got it right. Or what you most likely had to do, especially if you were following a style guide, is you had to have the style guide open up over here, and then you had your Camtasia over here, and you would be looking at hexadecimal codes, and it was that thing every single time, and it was such a pain in the butt. So themes made it very, very easy to not have to worry about that. Additionally, I can create my own themes. I believe that it was under File, Manage Themes. So I had my theme manager, so I can go to colors, I can go to fonts. I would pick, I can create a new theme name. We'll say that this was insurance. So maybe I had insurance content, and I would get some. It has a couple color palettes, which is cool, and they don't tell you what they are. But then I can come in and change the foregrounds. Backgrounds, we'll use something similar, but lighten it up. And you can see how these affected content over on the right side. Basically what this did, and we'll show off this annotation. So this blue background with kind of the red text. If I click OK on this, I can do an annotation. I'm going to bring it in. And instead of simply clicking the color palette and actually choosing the theme here, I actually have the theme option at the very top. So if I planned for this, I can select my theme and I can say insurance. And remember, it was blue annotation, red text. I'll click on it, and that's exactly what I get. So if you plan it very well, being able to get somebody on brand, being able to go to somebody else and say, I've created themes for you, simply just use them, is as simple as them going in, making an annotation, saying, oh, this is the theme I'm using, it's insurance content, clicking insurance, boom, done, you're on brand. So that's what they did in 2018. The thing is that use case I just shared where you could pass it to a buddy and have them do it at the click of a button, they didn't do that. There's no export themes. I'm going to go into manage themes. There's no export button here at all. If you go to help, I don't even know what help's going to do. Oh, it's going to open off in the distance. So I'm not going to show that. But there's no export button. Like you can go into a long convoluted series of folders. Here, I'll show it to you. This is a long convoluted series of folders it takes to get to the themes, and then you can simply just cut those and send them as a zip file to a buddy. But that's dumb. That's nonsense. Don't do that. So, I mean, you can if you're stuck on 2018. But that's what they did. So you missed an opportunity, and they knew that. So in 2020, they've expanded greatly the ability to do this thing, to not do this thing, copy, paste, and send. And they made it so I can simply do this, package it all up, send it off to somebody else. So here I am in 2020. So I'm going to show you basically the same thing. And yes, as you can see through my dorky little, there's my last footage. Yeah, I'm using Camtasia to make these videos as well. It's easy. It's really easy, you guys. So there's me in progress. Anyway, I'm going to open up a theme. I'm going to go File, Manage Themes. And I got my theme manager, and I've got my spring trail. I made that one up. I've got my communications. Made that one up as well. I can do fonts. They also added the ability to do a logo, which is really cool. So you can leverage that. Really, this is kind of only useful if you're using the library and some of the Camtasia built things. But if you are, like you can see, this is a title, subtitle, lower third that they've just created. It will just slot itself in automatically. It's kind of neat. I'm not going to use it, but it's kind of neat. Anyway, so I have my colors, I have my font set up. Side note, I personally don't care about foreground, background, accent, 1, 2. As it's just a kind of a quick side note, I don't like the idea of having the same background and foreground for annotations being used over and over and over again. So really, I just use this as the palette. Yeah, this is probably good to use as kind of the initial, this is going to be the one I most commonly use. And especially if you're sending this to other people, and need them to be on brand, want them to be on brand. Maybe it's your product marketing person that was like, I want to make videos too, when you sent them Camtasia because it's easy to learn. You can send this over to them and say, hey, use that. And then if you really want to be creative, pick a different color in the palette. Go for it. You can. But anyway, that's my little side note. Anyway, I've got my theme created, and I'm going to hit this settings button, and I have an export button. Was that hard? You even get the same format. You get the same file that I showed you back in the nonsense over here. This vomit sauce of nothing. Now I can actually pick the name, so I can export. And I can put the name in as opposed to bleh, whatever that means. Thanks. But again, they weren't really thinking about it. So yeah, that's themes. And that's really basic, actually, because they've taken this idea of just a couple presets and they've expanded it so much more. So I'm going to show you that right now. So taking things a step further, like I said, the TechSmith thing showed off a whole bunch of these features. So I'm going to kind of quickly go over exactly what they are, but I do want to share a couple use cases. The most important one, my favorite of them all is literally favorites. This is new to 2020. If I click on it, you can see that I have a bunch already done. And basically this is going into annotations and saying, I really like this one. I'm going to use this over, and I get a little star icon. I can click on it. And if I come over to favorites, I now have access to that. Now, that's great for you as the just regular old user, but it's also awesome if you are sharing this with multiple people, because in a weird way, you can basically say, if you reserve yourself to these favorites, we're going to stay on brand. Because all things considered, if I introduce somebody new to Camtasia, this is option paralysis. And this is just the basic style. God forbid I put all of them on. Option paralysis, that's a lot to choose from. And you might want to make sure that people aren't doing like a random square or a rectangle. Wow, geometry is really hard. Geometry is really hard, kids. Rectangle, or hey, I like this cloud, but please use the one that's treated as a speech bubble instead of a thought bubble, if you really want to get that particular. But naturally, if I have access to all these, chances are someone's going to use them. But instead, if you go and say, I've created a bunch of favorites, please use those instead. Please stick to these. You can, again, keep on brand and give people a bunch of guidance. Nice thing about these also is that you notice that I've got pop-up, jump and fall, but this thing called annotation fade. Now, if you are a Camtasia novice, annotation fade's not a thing in behaviors. These are behaviors, by the way. I'll go to the behaviors tab. These are the different things that you can do with Camtasia. So I'm going to just do a quick pop-up, and I'm going to apply it to this annotation here. So that way when you see it, it pops up. It's cute, yay. But annotation fade was actually something that I had to create on my own. And now you can save those and you can favorite those out. So these are the presets, everything other than annotation fade, all of this comes with Camtasia. So again, option paralysis. I give it to somebody who I just say, go wild, go learn. But then they use things like explode. I hate explode. I don't understand explode. Don't, but yeah, it's weird. It's tacky. It reminds me of the screensavers that I had in the 90s on my Windows 95. No, just... But that's me being picky. If you like explode, use it. If you've got a really good use case, I'd love to see it. If you can make it actually look less sad, I'd love to see it. Anyway, annotation fade I created because I'm going to pop in this... I'm going to pop in my normal fade. Here's my normal fade. Sorry, I got to look over like equipment in order to see things, just so you can just like do this right. Okay, so we'll get rid of those. I'll just show you the fade. So here's the fade. Fade in, it does its thing, and then fade out. But maybe I wanted that fade to be faster. So what I can do is I come in, I've got my properties, properties for my fade. I can say that fade in, I want it to be a lot faster. Maybe during, I also want it to pulsate a little bit. And then out, I'll make it faster as well. So let's see what the new version is. And then it pulsates a little bit. And then it fades out. I want it to do that with annotations every single time. That is the company standard. That is the video standard that we've created. So I've created that. I'm gonna hit this little add button. It says add a preset. We'll say annotation pulsate. Click OK. And now I've got my annotation pulsate. So the next time, again, I can favorite this, save this favorite, send it to somebody and say, when you do an annotation and you want to make it do cool things, use the annotation pulsate in behavior. And you don't even have to tell them that. You could just show them in favorites. Say, please use the things in favorites. There's my pulsate. So all they have to do is say, I'm going to use this option that I was given, and I'm going to use this annotation pulsate to make it pretty. And it's going to do all the things automatically, and I don't have to go putz around with 20, 30 different options. So I actually really like using favorites kind of in conjunction with libraries and with themes to just add just a little bit, maybe a little more control. So along with that, they also added templates. Now, I like templates, but I think that they kind of need to stay basic in order to really be useful. Again, it's one of those, you're new, or maybe I'm working with an SME, and I want to build something really quick, like it's the standard, you made a webinar of your training to developers. We're going to just post that online, but I want to have an intro and an outro, and I don't want to have to create it from scratch every time. I don't even want to have to pull it from the library every time. So I just grabbed the Camtasia one, the demo version that they have. You can see I've got an intro. This is their intro that they have. This is actually the template that comes with 2020. And then I have screen video recording here. So what this is a placeholder. It's done by simply typing the letter P. And I can do a placeholder. And this placeholder can be anything. I'm going to go to the right over here. And this is for your, we'll go webcam capture while you do your video demo. It's not great direction, but that's fine. And I'll say that it's going to go all the way to the top, like something like that. And actually, we'll match it up. We'll be cool. We'll match it up. There we are. So I say, hey, placeholder, drag here to replace. I'm actually going to say this is the webcam placeholder. And you'll see that that shows up in the timeline. So now when I open this template, I know exactly what I'm doing, exactly where I'm dropping things, and we're done and we're covered. The other thing that's really nice is I'm going to say, and again, there's use cases for this and not. I'm going to pop in a video. All right, let's see what I get. So I'm going to throw this in. I'll talk more about that in just a sec. I'm actually really proud of that, but we'll get there. So I'm going to take this, and what I'm going to do is I can simply take this, and I'm going to drag this over, and you can see that it turns green, and when I let go, I get some options. I can either rip or replace, which basically means it's going to push everything out. I can replace from the start, meaning that it's going to start at the beginning of this video, and then it's going to cut itself at the end of it automatically. So whatever this lane is, wherever this time is, that's it. That's all the video I get. So if I'm limiting you to 1 minute, that's it. Same with replace from end. So it's the same idea. It's gonna say this is what about 40 seconds, 42 seconds. I'm gonna take the last 42 seconds. I'm gonna place it here. The other thing that's really nice is replace with clip speed, especially useful if I'm maybe doing like 1 minute quick tip tool training that doesn't have audio. So I'm just showing you a sequence of steps inside of an application. I can replace with clip speed, and what it's gonna do is automatically speed up this video to match the length of the placeholder. Again, you've got to be really careful if you do that. Like I said, I like the use case of I've showed you a bunch of steps and we're going to do this in 1 minute. 1 minute quick tips, ba ba da ba ba ba, and you can do some theme music. And then you just shrink it, zoom it, whatever. Use with caution, basically. Because, of course, if you have audio, all of that audio is going to get compressed into that timeline as well. So be careful. But in the meantime, I'll show that here. You guys are going to see something fairly cute, which is just me. This is me a couple days ago plugging something that I'm also going to plug here. But it's very, very fast. Mind the audio that comes in. Like I said, use with caution. But anyway, they have templates. Nice thing, like I said, I like this for very, very basic. So intro, something, outro. You can use it for other things as well. Or if you want to do different intro thing and there's no outro, or if you want to create a very special outro, specific outro for different use cases. So in my case, the job that I work for has different verticals. So I can say, this is my health template, this is my insurance template, and I have a different intro and an outro that's specific to that vertical for the application. I can do that with templates. And then off we go. Additionally, as far as everything else, so there's my favorites again, there's my behaviors. The last thing I wanted to show off that's super valuable is, well, we've done all of this, but the whole point was to do brand coordination. How do we get this sent out to other people? And that is through something that they call a package. So I'm going to go File, Export, Package. And what I'm going to get is this export package option. Templates, themes, libraries, shortcuts, favorites, and tools. And what it's going to do is it's going to combine all of those things into a special file that I can then share with other people, and they'll import, and in we go. We have all these things. The template you just saw, themes we talked about earlier. Libraries, I'm sorry, if you're new to libraries, let me show you those really quick. Libraries, these are creative assets. I'm gonna get my weird mug off. Sorry, it's just the thing. You're already saying it. So libraries are just creative assets that I can load in. They're also entire, I can have multi-layer animations, built-in videos, anything and everything. I'm going to show Camtasia 2020s. They've got their own special icons. They've got intros. So they have some cool intros that you can bring in. They made some cool stuff. But basically, this is another way for that brand coordination. I'm going to say here's our company logo, and here are some other creative assets that our creative team has created. I'm going to pop them into the library. If you want to use them into the video, it's as simple as loading that library, and you're done. So all of these things, these presets for people who maybe are new, maybe are just dabbling into it, even across your own team who may be very familiar with it, you can create a brand style and a set of presets, send them out in this package. So that's what libraries are. Shortcuts, they're literally system shortcuts. So, Control C is cut, Control X is paste. If you want to have some different hotkey for that, you can, and then you can export it as a package. Favorites, we talked about. Tools or other tool presets, like if you have the cursor magnify as an example, just some of the other tools in Camtasia go under the tools section. And I can pick the one. So my template, I made a play template. I'm going to just send you my communications theme. I'm going to send you my asset library that I made. And then I'll export it out as a package. So, and then send that to everybody. And off we go. So that's Camtasia 2020 brand coordination in a nutshell. Sorry, it'd be a very long nutshell. It's about 20 minutes. So I'm going to try to master that. That's what I've got. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out. I'm more than happy to show other things. I could probably have broken this video down a little bit, but this is my first go. By the way, this was my first go. I want to do a ton more of these, however. So before you leave, I'd love to spend 1 minute doing a quick shameless plug. I have created a blog. I know, it probably wasn't a good form, but it's like a timeshare. Enjoy a couple things and then off we go. But it's called Training is Blank. It's a design blog. The idea is that we as instructional designers learn a heck of a lot about outlines and plans and learning paths, but we don't really learn anything about how to put that on a big blank canvas. It's kind of on us to figure out bullet points and colors and composition. And I wanted to share, as somebody with a lot of experience in film and video and graphic design, it's literally my degree, a couple of tricks and practices to cater to the instructional design group, and what rules change when you're going from a logo to a PowerPoint slide that people need to read, and how do you deal with video, and how do you deal with audio and international audiences. I've got a whole long list of things. I would love it if you've joined me. I've got a Facebook page, facebook.com/trainingisblank, or just search for Training is Blank. I've also got a webpage that is also blank, which is called trainingisblank.com. I'm probably going to make a YouTube channel. There's going to be a whole lot. Please check me out on those places. I would love to do more of these kind of videos. I will make them shorter, I promise. But that's what I have for you. So thank you guys so much for watching if you survived all of this, and I will talk to you later. Thank you so much.